welcome to another At History Gems. Today it's going to be, how old is it? It's a really good question and opens up a very interesting part of archaeology and history. First things first, of course there are lots of written records. However, how many written records and the bias of those written records can actually lead us to wonder about whether they are even telling the truth. So for example, let's take 1066, Battle of Hastings. Because there is evidence from many different countries with many different agendas that all agree on that date, there's really no way we can get around the fact that those events genuinely happened in the year 1066. But sometimes, and particularly the further back you go, the more difficult it gets. Sometimes you have to rely on one text, which you know is biased, but that's the best you've got. So that's the first thing you can do. But let's talk about the archaeology of a situation. The very first thing is stratigraphy. If you look at soil, it has layers. So basically, you've got different areas of time. The further you dig down, the further you're going back in time. And therefore, if you find something you can date in a layer, then chances are everything else in that layer is roughly the same age. Next, you have typology, and that's quite simply comparing how things have improved over time. We can all agree that cars have certainly improved over the last 50, 60 years. And you know what? It's exactly the same thing if we're talking about Stone Age tools. These are from the Paleolithic, which is a long time ago. These, however, are from the Neolithic, and clearly they are better made, so they have to have come more recently in time. Then there's dendrochronology, or the simple word for that is tree ring dating. As of course you know, every tree has rings in it, and each ring is a year's growth. Now what some very clever people have done is they've worked out that basically all the trees of the same species, let's say oak, grew the same amount in the same climactic area, let's say Northern Europe. So if you can count the tree rings, you can go back through modern trees to medieval trees and so on and so forth, so you can get an exact year, provided the wood's actually still got the rings in it. Now here is an example of something that has used that advantage. This is the Sweet Track in Somerset. This is a Neolithic track that was found, and because the wood was well preserved, we know it was built in either 3806 or 3807 BC. Now to a certain extent that's only a semi-useful date because we've got nothing else to hang that date on, but what it does show is the accuracy of tree ring dating. Finally, there's carbon dating, or C14 dating. You've probably heard of it, and it's really clever. Basically, all organic matter has carbon in it. I do, the bookshelf behind me does, even the books, I suppose. And the fact is, as soon as you die, some of that carbon starts disappearing, and that's the C14. It's actually a radioactive version of carbon, and it's in you right now. But don't worry, it's completely harmless, and it starts degrading as soon as you die, which sets, in essence, a stopwatch for archaeologists to count. It's really clever stuff. Now, I've spoken about all these different things as if they are different disciplines, and to a certain extent they are. But what you do is you use them all together at the same time. If you find a bit of burnt wood, you can use carbon-14 dating. There's coins as well. If there's a coin lying there, well clearly that coin couldn't have been there before it was minted, so that also helps you with dates. And if all that's in one layer, and we're looking at the layer below, we know it has to be older, and so on and so forth. So you can pool all this information together to answer the fundamental question, how old is it? I really hope you enjoyed that one. I certainly enjoyed putting it together. Now, as always, if you like it, please hit like on YouTube, subscribe, spread the word, please. These aren't easy to put together. And as always, you can follow me on @HistoryGems on Facebook and @HistoryGems on Twitter. See you soon.